Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot. I hope everybody's well. I hope everybody's having a good day. I'm back today, as you'll see from the title of this video, just to have a look at some of my decks that have keywords on. I've had a couple of new decks recently, and one of them I found the keywords really helpful and interesting, and I feel like they add something to the reading. And the other one, not so much. Seems a distraction. Some of the keywords I don't agree with particularly, or don't make that much sense to me. So I've been through all of my decks, and I think at the moment I maybe have about 140 tarot decks. So I've been through them all, and I've pulled out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 12 decks out of that many that have keywords on them, which is not many, is it? And I thought it just might be interesting. I hope it doesn't take too long, but I thought it might be interesting to go through them and just try and decide really whether the keywords are helpful and interesting and add something to the reading, or whether they're distracting and they kind of disturb your own intuition and your own processes, you know. So that's what I'm going to do. And like I said, I hope it won't take too long. So the first deck that I've got here, and obviously, just to say, with oracle cards, with oracle decks, I love a keyword. You know, there's nothing worse than having to read the book for me. So if there's a keyword and a good image, then that's really helpful for me. But with tarot cards, I find that I already have a long list of keywords in my own head, which then go towards the image and the feel of the card that I'm looking at, my own intuition, and that's where the information comes from. So it's a difficult thing, isn't it? So I thought it just might be interesting to have a look, really, to be honest. So this first deck that I've got here, I don't remember where I bought this from. I've had it for many years. I don't really use it very often because it's a very basic Rider-Waite-Smith deck with keywords. They're not things that I particularly need to learn. They're quite basic keywords. It's a good learner's deck. And so for that reason, I keep it, because I do like to teach people tarot if I get the chance, get the opportunity. But it's not one that I would use to read for myself or to read for anybody else. They're not disruptive to me, the keywords on here. I think they're just ones that I already know, and so therefore they're just not that useful, if you know what I mean. So there's that one. I'm going to put the decks in two piles. One's where I think the keywords are helpful, and one where I think they're not so helpful, or they may even, you know, get in the way of a good reading. So I'm going to put that one up there. The second deck that I've got is the Quiet Rebel Tarot, which I bought recently. And this is one of the decks that really made me think about keywords, because I absolutely love the keywords on this deck. Like, love. They really add something to the reading, I think. You know, it's not just a keyword or two, it's a little phrase or a little sentence or something that's evocative of the energy of the card. Like the done and dusted for the 8 of Cups. And you can really see that and feel that there, can't you? It's like, you know, clearing away the old, you know, brushing it away. It's gone. you know, the fast track, the Eight of Wands there. You can see these things. Excuse me. The waiting game, the Seven of Pentacles, the work in progress, the tide turner, the mad scientist, temperance. See, some of these keywords are not ones that I would automatically associate with these cards. And I like that because they've really got me thinking, you know. They've given me a different way to look at these cards. And I really, really like that. I can't remember where the oh crap moment for the Tower. The mood rider. See, the mind maze. That's a good way of looking at the Eight of Swords. I really, really do like these. The sneaky bastard for the Seven of Swords. The wild goose chase, the Seven of Cups. This is definitely a deck with some very, very clever keywords. You know, you can tell the person who has created this deck really understands what they're looking at. So I really, really like that one. That's going in the helpful pile. The next deck is the Barbara Walker Tarot, this little tarot in a tin. And I haven't used this deck for quite a while. I did go through a phase where I used it quite a lot. I think it's a Thothy type deck, actually. And I seem to think, and you'll have to tell me if I'm right or wrong here, but I think a lot of the decks that are Thoth based have keywords on them. This is a very difficult deck in many ways because it's quite brutal, quite harsh, and it doesn't sugarcoat anything, like we can see here with the Ten of Swords, ruin. This man is ruined for sure. Accomplishment, the Nine of Pentacles, that's a nice keyword. The House of God for the Tower. Disillusion for the Eight of Swords. Dream for the Seven of Cups. Alliance, the Two of Wands. Avarice for the Four of Pentacles, that's a good word. Work, Three of Pentacles. Balance, Two of Swords. You know, I have to say I quite like the keywords on this deck, because I think if all I was left with was the images on this card, on these cards, I would find this deck too dark and too brutal to ever use. But I have discovered this is a really good deck for asking difficult questions of, you know, particularly around difficult relationships. I've found that this deck reads really well. And like I said, I think had I not got the keywords on it, I might struggle. Not with all of them. I mean, this one, sorrow, the Three of Swords. I mean, that we can see the sorrow. But not all of them quite so much. So I don't mind the keywords on this deck, actually. I think they're helpful. They're helpful to my intuition, and they're helpful to my ability to read with this deck. So I don't mind those. So that's another yes. The next deck is the New Era Elements Tarot, and you know, I've been in two minds about this deck as to whether to rehome it for some time anyway, because there are cards in this deck that I find really difficult to look at, actually. I'm pretty sure this is a Thoth-based deck again. But yeah, some of the keywords are okay. You know, like this one, the Three of Pentacles, work again. You know, worker bees. This one here, bravery, the that must be the 7 of wands, I guess. That one might be the 10 of swords. I can't really remember what the triangles, the elements are. Domination. Swiftness. I mean, they're okay as keywords go, and there are some cards in this deck that I really like. I mean, that's a great card, isn't it? Judgment. But there are some that I really struggle to look at. Deception with the cuckoo, that's a good one. Victory, the 6 of wands, we can see that there. But despair, I mean, that card there, it's real, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? These things are real. They're very hard to look at. As is this one, grief. So I don't know, really. I guess overall, the keywords are helpful. I mean, that's another awful card to look at, isn't it? Oh dear. Defeat. I don't know. Maybe without the keywords on this, I wouldn't be able to even want to read with it at all, because some of the cards are so difficult. But I am in two minds about whether to keep this deck anyway. I'm really not sure whether the cards that I like in it are worth the cards that I really don't like in it. So I think I'm just going to sort of put that one in the middle. The next deck I've got is the Wee Moon Tarot. And this has a different sort of keywords on it, really, I suppose. I edged this in all different colours to represent the different suits of it. You can see I haven't got that one mixed up there. Oh no, they're different cards. I haven't shuffled it since I did that. Now the keywords in this deck are like the Ace of Water, water is life. The 2 of water, water is love. The 3 of water, love makes a family. The 4 of water, riding the waves. The 5 of water, deep grief. The 6 of water, dreaming. I don't mind these, you know. And again, I think because some of the images here are not that easy to read yourself, you would have to read this deck very intuitively, I think. Anyway, I think that some of these keywords are quite helpful. Ideas for the Ace of Air, dialogue for the 2 of Air. Yeah. See, I wouldn't necessarily think of dialogue as a keyword for the 2 of Swords, would you? For me, that's about balance and feeling stuck and yeah, sort of being resistant to change. But I suppose a dialogue would be the thing that would start that change and start that process of becoming unstuck and becoming more balanced, wouldn't it? You know, the 3 of Swords, intuition. We wouldn't traditionally associate the word intuition with the 3 of Swords, would we? So the 6 of Swords here, cosmic weaver. So I don't know. I think to a degree these are quite helpful, actually, in terms of me reading this deck. This is not an easy reader anyway, by any stretch of the imagination, the Wee Moon Tarot. I'm going to put it back in order, actually. So yeah, it's not what I would consider to be an easy reader anyway. So perhaps to have a keyword or a sentence or a phrase would be a good thing for your intuition. Do you know, when I first started this video, I was thinking that I was going to end up saying that I didn't like all of the keywords, to be honest, apart from maybe one or two, but I haven't got a no yet, have I? Right, the next deck is the Fairy Tarot cards by Radley Valentine, and I literally cannot remember the last time I used this deck. I think probably just because the cards are so big and shiny, and there's just such a lot on them. For me, this deck is a no, I think, because they've changed the suits, which is something that you've then got to get your head around. They've put all these keywords in. I mean, I assume this is the King of Swords, the King of Winter, I expect. And you get all of these keywords, and then you get a sentence at the bottom as well, like get advice from someone professional and objective, public speaking and emotional relationships. And you don't get that on all of them. Some of them you just get these phrases. Or the Ace of Autumn, a windfall of money, advice or assistance from others, a very successful project. I mean, to be honest, I haven't read with this deck for so long that I don't know how it would work out. But while I like the images, I think there's just, these cards are still stuck together. I think, ooh, come on. I think there is too much information on these cards that it would, unless you were going to do like a long reading for yourself that you were going to sit and study and reflect on over a period of time and maybe journal it, there's too much information here for me on the rest of these cards. So I'm going to put this one in the unhelpful pile, I think. You'll have to tell me if you disagree. So yeah, that is my first unhelpful deck. The next deck I've got here, I showed this the other day on my channel. This is a new deck called the Mythical Creatures Tarot, and this has got keywords on each, like faith for the Fool, the Magician, reassurance. And I think I remember when I went through this deck that a lot of the keywords just didn't make sense to me, like reassurance for the Magician. That's not what springs to mind for me. My intuition wouldn't take me to that place with this card. I mean, femininity, stability, inner wisdom. The Lover's decisions, yeah, I get that. Purpose for the Chariot. Victory, victory for justice. That's not necessarily a keyword I would come up with myself. Withdrawal, yeah. Manifestation, well, yeah, I guess. Domination for strength. Again, not a keyword that I would necessarily want to use for strength. Stagnation, yes, but again, not what would immediately spring to mind. So you can see the Devil, boundaries. I mean, that's that's a good keyword, isn't it, in a lot of ways. I mean, these dogs are guarding a boundary here, but also many of the issues that we have around devil energy are to do with not having good boundaries in ourselves, about self-discipline, and not having good boundaries in our relationships. So that's a good keyword. But If I'm honest, overall, these have all got keywords, haven't they? The Nine of Wands, brave, in control. I'm a bit on the fence about this deck, if I'm honest. I'm a bit on the fence about it in general, I think. So I'm going to put that in the middle. I'm not sure about that one. The next deck I've got, and I haven't got a box for this one anymore. I've had it for so long. This is the Psychic Tarot by John Holland, and I love this deck. I've had it for a long time, and the keywords on this I really like. You know, the Emperor is authority to me. I like that. Now I can't remember the suits here, what purple is. I don't know what that is. That might be Wands, mightn't it? Accelerated motion for the Eight of Wands there. This one must be the Eight of Swords, trapped in fear. I don't think, given the images on these cards, that these keywords are necessary. Because you can go, once you know the colour of the card, you know what suit that you're looking at, you know the number, so you can work out a little bit of numerology. You've got your intuition with the image itself. Like he's blowing his own trumpet, isn't he? This is the Six of Wands. We can see that victory there. The Three of Wands, partnerships and alliances. Triumph for the Chariot, because really that, you know, the Chariot is a thing that is engaged in a battle, if you like, isn't it? So new beginnings for the Fool, conflict and defeat for the Five of, that must be Cups, mustn't it? Fertility for the Empress, temptation for the Devil, positive movement forward. I think that one must be the Eight of Pentacles, maybe. Three of Cups, rejoice in celebration. Yeah, I like this. I think that the keywords work with this deck. I don't mind it. I wish the cards weren't quite as big and glossy as they are, but otherwise I quite like the keywords on that deck. So the next deck is the Tarot Emblemata, which is a new deck. And this is a bit more than keywords, isn't it? This is like a whole... God, I love the backs on this deck. I really do. It's one of my favourite backs, I think, this. It's a very, very pretty deck. Really nicely edged and everything. So yeah, this is a bit more than a few keywords, isn't it? But I don't know, to be honest, how I would find reading with this, because I haven't just yet. I honestly don't know, but I suppose I can't put this in the no pile, because this deck has been designed specifically to have these little phrases on them, hasn't it? So I don't suppose I can put it in the negative deck, because it's been designed specifically in this way. It's not just your ordinary tarot deck, is it? I think I shall put this in the yes, because it's the way that it was designed. It's probably not really a fair deck to judge on keywords particularly, so I shall put that one in the yes. I think without what it has written on it, you would struggle to read with that deck at all. Right, we've got 3 left now. So this is the Tarot of Light by Denise Jarvie. This is a lovely deck, which I don't pull out very often. I edged this in a nice gold colour. I wish the cards were a little bit smaller, but they're nice matte cards and they feel quite nice. So we've got depression for the Four of Hearts, revolution for, is that stuck to anything? That must be the Hanged Man, mustn't it? Not sure about that. The High Priestess, intuition, the Lover's ecstasy, death, the release, metamorphosis, that's a good word. The retreat for the Hermit, harmony, that's a good one. The wheel of fortune, breakthrough, yeah. The Knight of Cups or Hearts, romance, definitely. Vitality for the Sun, definitely. The Four of Trees. Yeah, I can't quite remember what the suits are here. I'm not sure what that is. We've got trees, stars, angels. See, I have more problems when they change the names of the suits than I do that they've put a keyword on, if I'm honest. Because if you don't use the deck regularly, you can forget, can't you? I mean, I can see here, this is probably a sword. The hearts will be cups. I think the trees might well be wands. And the angels, or they might be earth, mightn't they? Limitation. That's probably earth, isn't it? And, oh, I don't know. See, I don't know. I would have to look at the book and work out what the suits were. The Knight of Trees, custodian. Six of Hearts, the past. See, they're not bad, are they? They're not bad, the keywords on this. The Ten of Cups, a culmination. I don't think that these little words on here would distract me too much. I think they would probably add more to the reading than take away. So I'm going to say that that's a yes, that deck. And then we have the Horror Tarot. And some of these cards have more than just a keyword on. The End is here for the World. Justice. She just wants to give you what you deserve. Pick a fate, any fate for the Wheel of Fortune. Love is grand, but it always leads to trouble. See, again, I haven't read with this deck. And this deck was specifically designed to be like a poster. So it is going to have writing on it. The Four of Pentacles, the Collector. Yeah. The Five of Pentacles, destitute, alone and terrified for the future. See, I don't think that these are bad. I think there's a lot of distractions on these cards if you were going to use them to read with, just because there's a lot of writing on them as well as the images. There's a lot to look at, isn't there? So I think they might well be they would distract you in that way. But the actual little sentences that's relevant to each card, I think is pretty good on the whole. Like victory at what cost for the Six of Wands. That's a very different way of looking at the Six of Wands, isn't it? The Four of Wands, the monster comes home. That's a very different way of looking at things. Curiosity, new ideas and positive change for the Page of Swords. They're good keywords. Nightmares, debilitating fear and crippling anxiety for the Nine of Swords. You know, they're all good keywords. They're all things that I would spring to my mind anyway, on the whole. I just think this deck as a whole for reading is a little bit distracting in itself. So I think I might put that in the maybe pile, that one. And then the last deck that I've got here is the Sacred She Tarot, which is by the same creator as the Osho Zen, which is one of my favourite decks ever, to be honest. But again, I haven't read with this deck for a long time, but I did spend some time with it when I first had it. I think maybe I've edged it. I'm not sure whether it was already edged, but I think I may have edged it. And again, you need to learn the colours of the cards to know what suit that you're looking at. A labour of love, so I'm assuming that might be the Eight of Pentacles. We've got the moon there, anxiety, which I think is a pretty good keyword actually for the moon. We've got 13. See, without knowing what I'm looking at here, it's hard. I mean, that must be the 10 of Swords, mustn't it? But why have we got two 13s here? These, let's see what it says. So we don't have, you can see there, we don't have kings or queens or pages or knights. We just have cards 1 through to 14 for each suit. Yeah. So that in itself is, you know, you would have to learn that first, wouldn't you? Blame for the 8 of Swords, grief for the 10 of Swords, flow for the Ace of Cups, that must be. I don't know whether green is Pentacles, crisis, adaptability, power. I'm not sure about this deck. I think that it's a little bit overcomplicated in itself. The Wisdom Keeper for the Hierophant. I think if you took the time and trouble to get to know this deck and what card was what suit was what, I don't think the keywords would bother you unduly. But some of them are not keywords that I would immediately choose anyway, I think, for these cards. So I don't know, I'm really not sure about this. I don't like it as a deck nearly as much as I do the Osho Zen. I'm going to put that one in the maybe pile again. So let's have a quick look and see what I've thought about these decks. So if I can get that in. Honestly, come on, Julia. Get in the box. So, we have, for the no, and I do honestly think this is a definite no, that the keywords are not helpful for this deck because there's just too much going on the cards. The cards are sticky, glossy, they've got quite detailed pictures, lots and lots of writing on them. Like I said, I think unless you were going to do a long reflective reading for yourself, I think that the keywords on this would just get in the way. So that's a definite no. This is perhaps a no as well. And the system of the whole deck as a whole, I'm not sure that I enjoy that much. It was a maybe. I like this deck a lot. I probably should have put that in the yes, I think. This one, I'm not sure about either, just because I'm not sure that some of the keywords actually fit with how I see the cards. But without reading with it, I don't really know. So that's a maybe. The same with this one. I have mixed feelings about this deck. Some of the cards are really interesting and the keywords add something to that, I think, and others are just awful to look at. So I think I'm very much in two minds about this deck and whether to even keep it anyway. So that's got to be a maybe. And then all the rest were yeses, weren't they? They were all decks that I think benefited in some way from having a keyword. So the Tower of Light, the Horror Tarot, not too bad. The Tarot Emblemata, which is a different sort of system and setup in itself. I think that the keywords work really well on the Psychic Tarot. I don't mind that at all. I think if you didn't have keywords for the Wee Moon Tarot, you'd be relying purely on your intuition because it's quite a tricky deck to read. The Barbara Walker Tarot, I think, needs some keywords just because it's such a dark deck. It's a brutal and doesn't mince its words, and I think the keywords help you to not focus quite so much on the dark imagery that you're seeing in the card. But this is a brilliant deck for difficult readings, you know, ones where people are in conflict or something underhand or something's going on. That deck will tell you the truth of that. The Quiet Rebel, I think, is my absolute favourite deck with keywords. I think the keywords work fantastically with this deck and add so much to it. I really, really like that. And obviously, the very first deck that I showed, if you're a beginner, these kind of decks are really handy. Because, you know, while we all want to use our intuition, our imagination, our life, our experience, our energy, whatever information comes through to us when we're reading, I think it also is really important to have a list, if you like, of keywords in your head that you know about each card, because it gives you a platform and a foundation to sort of springboard off, if you like. So there you go. I'm sorry it's taken nearly 40 minutes to waffle on, but I hope that you might have found that interesting and thought-provoking. You'll have to let me know your thoughts and feelings about keywords, what decks you've got that you like or you don't like, how things work for you. I'd love to hear from you all. I'm sending you all my love, and I will see you all again soon.